this video with a tip. First, we are going to see the transaction, and most of the time there is too much data, and this will trigger a slow transaction. Or you have too much data, then the quarter rule will kill it after 5 minutes. It all depends on each scenario. But in this case, you can click on cancel, and then you can click on load view with the filter only, and this will load the page only with the filter, no data. The second tip is you can add the CSPAN filter only, and this only going to load the page without any condition. From here you can start to build your own. When we load the transactions for the users, this is the default list. Personally, I like to add columns and remove some. I like to add the browser time, the business rule time, the client network time, client response time, so the network time, session, system ID, time to wait, transaction number, and also I would like to remove the business rule count, gzipped, orange application, output length, and MySQL counts. The way you order this is different, but for me, I like to see first the client network time, the network time, the response time, the client and response, MySQL time, ACL time below, browser time next, before SQL time, URL. This is my preferred list to see. So after this, we can analyze it. After everything is set, let's start to look into the transaction. First, I like to say the client network time and browser time is time spent on browser. This is something that ServiceNow cannot do much about, and customers always look at the response time and order by response time. First, I would like to see this first example. We have a response time of 21 seconds. However, the time spent on browser was 13 seconds. In the total of 21, 13 was only spent on browser. This depends on the browser you use. Some browsers are faster than others, but we are going to focus only on the column of response time. Let's go back to our example. We have here a transaction that took 21 seconds, but the SQL time itself was fast. So this is not time spent on the database. It had to be spent elsewhere. In this case, it's evident. We have a slow business rule and took 20 seconds on that business rule or multiple business rules. But also the other field that I want to focus is the total waiting time. How the ServiceNow instance process the transactions is first in, first out. So it needs to process the transactions in order to process the next transaction, and that is reflected on the waiting time. So I always check like this. Okay, total waiting time is less than this. Let's put 100 milliseconds. That will help remove all the transactions that have a high waiting time. You can see now you no longer have transactions that are waiting for previous ones, and then we can start analyzing. Most of my examples, you can see it takes 20 seconds. We have one 11 seconds, but it was a business rule. You can have ACLs, high values for ACLs, and that's the correct way to analyze it. So let's continue. This is a slow, as you can see. This is a background transaction, took 10 seconds. As you can see, it was a business rule. If we have high values of SQL time, this is most probably due to a slow query, and this query can be seen on the localhost logs, also on the slow query module. So this is one of the ways to analyze. Let's see if we can go new page. You can see 10 seconds, business rule. Let's see if we have, let's remove the ones that we already know that they have a high value for business rule. Let's see, time is less than there is. Let's put 9 seconds. Okay. We exclude our slow business rule. Okay, we have another one. As you can see, 21 seconds. Browser time, again browser time, and if we can continue, okay, another browser time. So my recommendation for when we have slow browser time, especially on lists, impersonate the user. Let's see if they have a high row count. It means that the list here is like have 1000. It totally different to build the page for a row count of 1000 than for 20 records. That most likely it's seen here. So impersonate the user, take a look what he was doing. You can open here and see this is our home page. We can see all the transactions, home. So you can see maybe it has too many widgets. Is something that worth looking into.